Imagine finding out that your bank account doesn't just depend on how hard you work, but also on what you believe. Sounds crazy, right? That's exactly the shock millions of people feel when they learn about the principles of quantum physics applied to wealth. Suddenly, the idea that your thoughts shape your reality stops being a metaphor and becomes a real possibility. For centuries, we've been conditioned to think that money is solely the result of sweat and hard work. However, modern research in neuroscience and physics suggests there's a lot more to it. What you believe is possible actually influences the results you get. This idea sparks curiosity, but also resistance. After all, no one ever taught us that the mind can literally print wealth into the physical world. For anyone hearing this for the first time, the reaction is always the same: disbelief. This can't be real. The weirdness is natural because it challenges the logical rules of everyday life. But when you dive into this world, you realize the mind is far more powerful than we ever imagined. Every thought can be seen as a wave of probability, capable of altering your financial outcomes. Powerful introductions work because they shake up what we think we know, and what you're about to hear will challenge what you think is possible. The question is no longer if the mind influences wealth, but how this process works. This is where quantum science and psychology come together to reveal some astonishing secrets. This craziness isn't just motivational philosophy. It's a line of thinking backed by studies. Researchers have shown how perception can change the outcome of lab experiments. If human consciousness can alter the behavior of subatomic particles, why couldn't it alter the course of your financial life? Now, we're not talking about instant magic or money falling from the sky. The proposal is much more sophisticated. Your mind creates patterns that either attract or repel opportunities. These patterns aren't visible to the naked eye, but they operate like invisible magnets, shaping your experiences of either prosperity or scarcity. Think about it. Two people can live in the same country, the same city, with access to the same opportunities. One grows wealthy, while the other remains stuck in debt. What explains the difference? Science suggests the key lies in the mental filter each person builds through their dominant beliefs. When we hear that the mind creates reality, our tendency is to write it off as an exaggeration. However, quantum physics has shown that the act of observation changes the outcome of experiments. If that happens on a microscopic scale, it's reasonable to consider that our thoughts could also influence our financial environment.
The big issue is that most people don't realize how they're constantly shaping their own lives. Thoughts of fear and scarcity turn into hesitant and passive behavior, creating a limited reality. On the other hand, thoughts of abundance fuel bold actions, opening the door to new opportunities. This is the mind-blowing foundation we're going to explore. The idea that yes, it is possible to attract wealth through the way we think. It might seem like magic, but it's actually the result of brain processes and physical principles. Get ready, because the journey that starts here will show you that the line between science and philosophy is much thinner than you might imagine. The double-slit experiment of wealth. To understand how beliefs shape financial outcomes, let's use a famous metaphor, the double-slit experiment. In it, subatomic particles change their behavior depending on whether they're being observed. The simple act of looking transforms reality. And that's exactly what happens with your finances. Imagine two people with the same skills in the same job market. One believes money is scarce and hard to get. The other believes opportunities are around every corner. They both start from the same place, but end up in completely different situations. The question is, who succeeds? The answer seems obvious, but its impact is profound. What changes isn't the external conditions, but how each person interprets the world. The mind that believes in abundance spots possibilities where the other only sees obstacles. This difference in perception is what creates distinct financial realities. It's as if each person carries an internal observer that chooses which version of reality they will experience. A belief in scarcity causes the brain to ignore signs of opportunity. A belief in abundance, however, makes room for ideas, connections, and creative solutions. All of this tangibly alters the future. This phenomenon doesn't happen by chance. It follows the same principle from quantum physics. The observer defines the particle's behavior. Here, the observer is you, and the particle is your financial reality. By believing there is abundance, you alter the conditions around you. This doesn't mean that just believing is enough, but it means that belief is the essential first step. Without that foundation, any action is limited by a filter of scarcity. It's like trying to drive with a blindfold on. You'll never reach your destination. Psychological experiments show that beliefs shape not just thoughts, but also attitudes. People who believe in their own abilities take more risks, persevere longer, and find creative solutions. This difference in behavior leads to far superior financial results. What's interesting is that often these two types of people don't even realize they live in different worlds. To those who believe in scarcity, abundance seems like an unattainable myth. To those who believe in abundance, the world is overflowing with chances. They're both right, within their own mental realities. Just like in quantum physics, where reality manifests based on observation, your financial life takes shape based on your beliefs. The universe seems to respond with mathematical precision to what you expect from it. It's a silent game, but a powerful one.
So, the double-slit experiment of wealth shows us something essential. It's not the market, the government, or luck that defines your prosperity. It's the way you choose to observe and interpret the world. That is the real divide between prosperity and scarcity. The crazy part about the results. Now that we understand the parallel with quantum physics, it's time to face what seems like the craziest part. Your financial reality responds directly to your beliefs. We're not just talking about positive psychology here, but an observable phenomenon. When you believe in scarcity, you act as if resources are limited. When you believe in abundance, you see possibilities where there were only obstacles before. This shift might seem subtle, but it has profound effects. The belief that money is hard to get creates anxiety, fear, and hesitation. Meanwhile, the belief that money is abundant generates courage, creativity, and action. These attitudes shape the results that appear in the external world. Just like in the lab, your observation determines the behavior of the particle, or in this case, your bank balance. Think about how entrepreneurs view crises. While some only see danger, others identify opportunities for innovation. It's no coincidence. Their beliefs guide how they observe the very same situation. The result? Completely different financial paths, even though they started from the same point. This phenomenon creates the feeling that reality bends to the way we think. For those who believe, doors open. For those who doubt, doors stay locked. It's not about magic. It's about perception shaping action. It's the mind adjusting the filter of what's possible and what's not. The most interesting part is that this happens automatically. Most people don't even realize how their beliefs are programming their every financial move. It's as if there's a hidden program running in the brain, determining which opportunities are seen and which go unnoticed. This hidden program doesn't just shape what you see, it also shapes what you ignore. How many times have you missed an opportunity simply because you didn't believe it was possible for you? Belief acts like a spotlight, illuminating certain paths and leaving others in darkness.
Quantum science suggests that multiple possibilities coexist, waiting for observation to manifest. In the same way, your financial life is a field of probabilities. What materializes depends on which version you choose to believe. This is the mind-bending part that defies logic. Believing doesn't just change your interpretation of reality, it also changes the concrete results that come from it. By believing money is scarce, you behave cautiously and create more scarcity. By believing in abundance, you act boldly and create more wealth. That's why so many people insist that it works. Not because there's an invisible genie granting wishes, but because beliefs shape attitudes and attitudes shape results. It's a chain of cause and effect that starts in the mind and ends in your wallet. In the end, financial reality isn't fixed. It's a continuous construction, fueled by how you observe it. That's the crazy part about the results. Every belief you hold is actively sculpting, right at this moment, the version of reality you're living in.
The neuroscience behind the magic. To many, this idea still sounds like mysticism, but this is where science steps in, offering a clear explanation: the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. This brain filter is responsible for highlighting information in your environment that confirms your dominant beliefs. In other words, you only see what you already believe is important. Imagine you decide to buy a red car. Suddenly, it seems like everyone in your city has that exact same car. They were always there, but now your brain notices them because your attention is tuned to it. The same thing happens with money. You see more opportunities when you believe they exist. This mechanism is proof that the mind truly shapes your perception of reality. It's not magic, it's neuroscience. The RAS filters billions of sensory stimuli and keeps in focus only what confirms your convictions. This means that by believing in abundance, you literally begin to see paths that once seemed invisible. The opposite is also true. If you believe you'll never have enough money, your brain will ignore signals of opportunity and only reinforce experiences of lack. It's as if your mental system is working against you, sabotaging your own prosperity. This is why two people in similar situations can have such different results. It's not just about effort, it's about mental programming. The RAS is like an internal algorithm that prioritizes certain information and discards the rest. You get what you're prepared to perceive. This programming often comes from childhood. Phrases like "money doesn't grow on trees" or "rich people are greedy" turn into filters that shape how we view prosperity. Without realizing it, we carry these limiting beliefs into adulthood, creating invisible barriers. The good news is that this filter can be reprogrammed. Just like we learn to notice red cars, we can train our minds to see abundance. It takes practice, but it's entirely possible. Visualization techniques, affirmations, and intentional focus are powerful tools in this process. When you change your belief, your brain reorganizes what it considers relevant. New ideas emerge, connections are made, and solutions you never thought of begin to appear. The outside world hasn't changed, your perception has expanded. This is how the brain turns thought into wealth. It's not that money falls from the sky. It's that you start to notice, act on, and take advantage of opportunities that previously went unnoticed. Your mind makes room for a more prosperous reality. So the magic of the law of attraction has a scientific name, the Reticular Activating System. When we understand this mechanism, we realize that attracting wealth isn't just an act of faith. It's also a biological and neurological process. The anxiety and the doubt. By now you might be thinking, this doesn't make any sense at all. And to be honest, that's the healthiest reaction. Our brains are designed to doubt, question, and seek logical explanations. After all, their primary function has always been survival, not creating wealth.
Throughout evolution, the human mind developed to detect threats, not to manifest opportunities. That's why we feel fear when considering risky investments or major changes in our finances. Resistance is part of our biological programming. This anxiety also has a positive side. It keeps us from accepting any idea without thinking it through. Skepticism protects us from dangerous illusions and scams disguised as easy promises. Questioning is a sign of intelligence, not weakness. However, it's important to recognize that this same resistance can trap us in cycles of scarcity. Constant fear of losing money leads to inaction, and inaction blocks growth. In other words, doubt protects us, but it also limits us. Many viewers might be thinking right now, if this were real, everyone would be rich. That's a legitimate objection. The difference is, few people apply these principles consistently because their initial disbelief pushes them away before they even try. Imagine someone who decides to try a diet, but doesn't believe it will work. That disbelief undermines their efforts, and the results end up confirming their negative expectations. The same thing happens with the law of attraction around money. A lack of faith reinforces a lack of results. That's why it's essential to acknowledge doubt. If you're uncomfortable with these ideas, congratulations. It shows your mind is active and analytical. But here's a simple invitation. Stay open-minded instead of shutting down the possibility immediately. The space between doubt and acceptance is where real growth happens. It's when you don't dismiss an idea outright, but you also don't swallow it without question. That balance allows you to test new perspectives and discover what truly works. The anxiety of doubt can be seen as a springboard. If you treat it as an invitation to explore, it stops being a block and turns into investigative energy. After all, questioning is the first step toward discovery. So instead of fighting doubt, use it to your advantage. Allow yourself to experiment with small shifts in mindset and observe the results. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you'll have learned something new about yourself. The important thing is not to let disbelief prevent you from taking action. The quantum entanglement of opportunities. Quantum entanglement is one of the most intriguing phenomena in physics. Two particles connected continue to influence each other instantly, even when separated by vast distances. But what does that have to do with money and prosperity? More than you think. Think of your inner beliefs as one particle, and your actions in the external world as another. They're entangled. Change one, and you change the other. If you believe you deserve to prosper, you automatically make bolder decisions, speak more confidently, and project assurance. The opposite is also true. When someone carries beliefs of scarcity, that energy translates into hesitant behavior, fear-based choices, and even an inability to recognize good opportunities. The connection is instantaneous, as if there's an invisible cable linking mind and reality.
You can see this phenomenon in everyday situations. Imagine a job interview. Two equally qualified people show up. One believes they're not good enough. The other believes they already belong in that role. Who comes across as more confident? Who is more likely to get hired? Entanglement shows us there's no gap between your inner world and your outer world. They're part of the same system. What you believe shapes what you do, and what you do shapes what you achieve. It's a continuous cycle, happening in real time. When you start believing in abundance, your actions naturally change. You begin connecting with the right people, seeing new paths, and finding the courage to take risks. These actions trigger results that confirm your new belief, creating a positive feedback loop. The most powerful part is that this cycle can start from the inside out. Even if nothing changes immediately in your external environment, shifting your beliefs is enough to align your actions with new opportunities. That's how transformation begins. Many success stories follow this exact pattern. People who decided to change their mindset began attracting situations they once thought were impossible. It wasn't luck.
It was the synchronicity between beliefs and behaviors. In short, your beliefs are invisible threads that connect every step you take. When you change those inner threads, the entire network of external opportunities begins to respond. It's as if the universe has no choice but to align with your new mental pattern. The quantum entanglement of opportunities proves you don't have to wait for the world to change. The starting point is inside you. Change your belief, change your energy, and watch reality reorganize around your new possibilities. The delayed choice of wealth. One of the most puzzling concepts in physics is the delayed choice experiment, which suggests that decisions made in the present can influence how we interpret the past. What if this also applied to your relationship with money? Think about the financial experiences that marked your life: debts, failures, investments that went wrong. Many people carry these events as traumas, believing they're proof of their inability. But what if you could rewrite them? The delayed choice of wealth is exactly that, changing how you interpret your financial past. What was once seen as failure can become a lesson. What seemed like a mistake can turn into a stepping stone for growth. This shift doesn't change the facts, it changes their meaning. And the meaning you assign to the past directly influences your current beliefs. Those who believe they always fail act out of fear. Those who see the past as a lesson act with courage. The shift happens the moment you decide to reinterpret. It's as if the present sends a new message to the past, reorganizing the narrative of your financial life. Suddenly, that debt wasn't a disaster. It was the push you needed to learn better money management. Stories of successful entrepreneurs confirm this dynamic. Many went bankrupt before becoming wealthy. The difference is that instead of seeing themselves as defeated, they chose to interpret the past as intensive training. That choice shaped their futures. This power is available to everyone. You don't need to erase memories, just assign them new meaning. This shift in perspective frees your mind from blocks and opens space for new beliefs in abundance.
By rewriting your story, you free yourself from the emotional weight that holds you back. Instead of carrying shame or fear, you start carrying lessons and motivation. This changes your attitudes moving forward and leads to different results. The most fascinating part is that when you change how you view the past, your mind starts generating new opportunities in the present. It's as if time reorganizes itself, bringing chances that align with your new mindset. The delayed choice of wealth proves it's never too late to change. No matter how many financial failures you've had, by reinterpreting them, you open a completely new path. The past doesn't define your future. Only how you interpret it does. The interpretations, different approaches. Just like in quantum physics, where different interpretations try to explain the same phenomena, the law of attraction around money can also be understood from distinct perspectives. Each offers a way of thinking that directly influences how you approach prosperity. The first is the Copenhagen financial interpretation. It says, act as if you're already rich, and reality will collapse into that result. The principle is simple. Behavior creates context. When you dress, think, and act like a prosperous person, you begin creating situations that reflect that energy. The second is the many worlds financial interpretation. According to this view, all possible realities already exist in parallel. One version of you is wealthy, another is in debt, another is financially stable. Your current vibration determines which of these realities you collapse into and experience. The third is the Bohmian economic interpretation. It suggests that belief isn't everything, but it's the pilot wave that guides your boat. Hidden variables like skill, knowledge, and action are essential, but belief is the compass that directs your ship's course. These different ways of understanding wealth attraction aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, they complement each other, offering multiple paths to apply the same principle. The key is recognizing that they all stem from one central idea. Your mind isn't a passive spectator, it's an active creator of your financial reality. So looking at the law of attraction through different lenses broadens your understanding and strengthens your confidence. After all, when multiple theories lead to the same conclusion, it's harder to ignore the transformative power of beliefs.
Throughout this video, we've explored how beliefs shape perceptions, how the brain filters opportunities, and how the way you observe things alters the results. This combination isn't pure mysticism. It's a set of mental and physical mechanisms that produce real-world effects. The question that remains is, are you willing to give it a try? Because none of this works as just theory. You have to live the process, apply the concepts, and test them in practice. Wealth doesn't manifest through passivity. It comes from actively engaging with your own mind. Reprogramming your beliefs doesn't mean denying reality. It means reinterpreting it. It's not about closing your eyes to problems, but about opening them to the hidden possibilities within those problems. That shift in perspective is what creates a turning point. Many will say this is just coincidence or self-deception, but for those who've genuinely tried, the answer is different. It works. And it hardly matters whether the explanation is philosophical, scientific, or spiritual. What matters are the tangible results. The final invitation is simple. Start small. Try changing how you think about money for just 1 week. Notice if new ideas, encounters, or opportunities begin to appear. Treat it like a personal experiment, just like we did with the quantum metaphors. You might be surprised to find the universe responds faster than you expected. You might discover that your mind has always had the power to shape invisible paths. And in that moment, what once seemed absurd will no longer feel absurd. It'll feel real. So, if this video sparked your curiosity or your desire to take the next step, know that the links in the description can guide you on this journey of mental reprogramming and prosperity. The universe may not have given you all the answers, but it's already shown you one thing. You have more power than you believe. The choice is now yours. Now that you understand how your mind has the power to shape your financial reality, the choice is yours. Continue living in scarcity or take control and create abundance. Click subscribe now and join this community of people who are reprogramming their beliefs and achieving prosperity. Your next step toward wealth starts here. The Schrödinger's cat in your wallet. One of the most famous thought experiments in physics is the paradox of Schrödinger's cat. In it, the cat inside the box is both alive and dead at the same time, until someone opens it and looks. This metaphor can also apply to your bank account. When you avoid checking your balance, your mind lives in a state of uncertainty. Do I have enough money, or am I about to go broke? This superposition of possibilities creates anxiety and fear. The act of observing collapses the outcome in one specific direction. If you look with fear, already expecting the worst, you tend to see only scarcity. But if you look with positive expectation and confidence, your mind collapses reality toward abundance, guiding your actions toward better results. This paradox shows how the simple act of looking influences your financial outcome. It's not just about checking numbers, it's about the emotional energy you bring to it. It's the difference between seeing your balance as proof of failure or as a starting point for growth. Many people avoid looking at their finances precisely out of fear. This behavior keeps them stuck in a negative superposition where they never truly face reality. It's like keeping the cat in the box indefinitely. Facing the numbers with courage and clarity is the first step toward transforming your situation.
When you look head-on with a learning mindset, you begin collapsing more positive realities. Fear stops paralyzing you and gives way to conscious action. The Schrödinger's cat of money also reveals a curious paradox. Your financial situation only truly exists when you define it through your observation and attitude. Before that, it's just a set of probabilities waiting for your decision. This metaphor teaches us that financial reality isn't fixed. You can be both broke and prosperous at the same time, depending on how you observe and react to what you see. It's your mental stance that determines which version becomes real. That's why taking control of how you look at things is so important. By facing your finances with confidence and an expectation of growth, you program your brain to find exits, opportunities, and creative solutions. In short, the Schrödinger's cat in your wallet shows that the state of your finances depends on how you observe and react. Your financial universe remains in superposition until you choose to collapse it toward prosperity. After this journey through science, metaphors, and thought-provoking ideas, we've reached the highest point, the realization that reality might be more flexible than we thought. Maybe the universe isn't as rigid as we imagined. Maybe our beliefs, thoughts, and emotions play a much bigger role than we dare to admit. The most fascinating part is realizing we don't need absolute answers to benefit from this power. Quantum mechanics is still full of mysteries, and neuroscience is still uncovering how the mind creates patterns. But the fact is, in practice, those who apply these principles witness real change. This is where humility comes in. We're not claiming there's a foolproof mathematical formula to get rich. We're saying there's a powerful philosophy supported by scientific discoveries that can transform how you handle money.
Throughout this video, we've seen how beliefs shape perceptions, how the brain filters opportunities, and how your perspective can alter outcomes. This combination isn't pure mysticism. It's a set of mental and physical mechanisms that produce real effects. The question remains, are you willing to give it a try? Because none of this works as just theory. You need to live the process, apply the concepts, and test them in practice. Wealth doesn't manifest through passivity, but through active engagement with your own mind. Reprogramming beliefs doesn't mean denying reality, but rather reinterpreting it. It's not about closing your eyes to problems, but about opening them to the hidden possibilities within those challenges. This shift in perspective is what creates a turning point. Many will say this is just coincidence or self-deception, but for those who've genuinely tried, the answer is different. It works. And it hardly matters whether the explanation is philosophical, scientific, or spiritual. What matters are the tangible results. The final invitation is simple. Start small. Try changing how you think about money for just 1 week. Notice if new ideas, connections, or opportunities begin to appear. Treat this as a personal experiment, just like we did with the quantum metaphors. You might be surprised to find the universe responds faster than you expected. You might discover that your mind has always had the power to shape invisible paths. And in that moment, what once seemed absurd will no longer feel absurd. It'll feel real. So if this video sparked your curiosity or your desire to take the next step, know that the links in the description can guide you on this journey of mental reprogramming and prosperity. The universe may not have given you all the answers, but it's already shown you one thing. You have more power than you believe. The decision is now yours.
Now that you understand how your mind has the power to shape your financial reality, the choice is yours. Continue living in scarcity or take control and create abundance. Click subscribe now and join this community of people who are reprogramming their beliefs and achieving prosperity. Your next step toward wealth starts here.